Recently, a report by the RBI titled State of the Economy has mentioned that food inflation is at a higher level. So let's see in detail what this news was all about, and then we'll go into the detail of food inflation, other types of inflation, what are the reasons for this increase in food inflation, and what are the solutions for that. Okay, so what's the news? Recently, Reserve Bank of India in its monthly bulletin titled State of Economy, it reported that there has been a sharp rise in what? In food inflation, because of which what has happened is the disinflation process towards 4% has basically stopped. It has halted the disinflation process. So what is a disinflation process? Disinflation process does not mean that the prices are falling. It means that the rate of increase of the prices is reducing. So understand, it's not that the prices were falling and now they are not falling, they are going up. No, it means that the prices were going up at a higher pace and it started coming down. The rate of increase of prices started coming down, but again the food inflation has halted that decrease in the rate of the prices, rate of increase of the prices. So it is very important here to understand the difference between disinflation and deflation. And we also know inflation. So inflation is what? Basically the general price rise in a basket of goods and services for a considerable amount of duration. Deflation is complete opposite of inflation. It is the fall in the prices. So increase in prices is inflation, decrease in prices is deflation. Now disinflation is decrease, reduction or decrease, not in prices but decrease in rate of inflation. So let's say the previous year the inflation was at 7%. Now if inflation is at 6%, that means the economy is undergoing disinflation. So this is what was happening, but due to increase in the food prices, due to the food inflation, this disinflation has now halted. Okay, so let us see what has been the recent trends in inflation. When you talk about headline inflation, at the same time along with the trend, we will also see what does this mean. So when you look at the trend, of headline inflation, the year-on-year headline inflation has rose to 5.1%. Earlier it was 4.8, now it is 5.1 from May 24 to June 2024. Earlier it was 4.8 in May 24 and in June 24 it is 5.1. So it has increased substantially. Now what is headline inflation? Whenever you calculate CPI, this indices and all is calculated, headline inflation is taken into account. It consists of a basket of goods and services which consists of food, energy, everything. That is headline inflation. There is another inflation which is core inflation. Now core inflation is the inflation which is headline inflation minus the food plus energy component. So you remove food plus energy component from the headline inflation and you will get the core inflation. Now why this is done? This is done because food and energy are highly fluctuating, so they may not let you experience or analyze the changes in the prices which is happening in other things. So that is why you eliminate food and energy from headline inflation and also measure the core inflation. So headline inflation, this is the trend. Food inflation, what has happened? Food inflation increased to 8.4%, very high, it's considerably high, especially knowing that food, the component of food is around 46% in the consumer price index. Almost half of it is food inflation. So when food inflation increases, it's a big thing because it's half of the component. So it has increased to 8.4 from earlier 7.9%. High frequency data. Now data for July shows increase in cereal prices. So again, it will again be a part of food. So the recent July data is showing that there is increase in cereal prices, especially wheat. pulses and edible oil. So again, this is hinting at what? Further increase in food inflation. These are all food component, right? Now, what are the causes for the rise of food inflation? The very first is temperature and weather challenges. So basically the weather challenges, which includes temperature also. This year or previous year has been El Nino year. El Nino year, it has been El Nino year, so weather issues are there, rainfall issues are there, almost 50% of agricultural area is still rain fed. So all these issues had led to a decline in production. That is one thing. Second, fuel prices. When fuel prices increase, generally prices of everything increases, because fuel is utilized in transport. Fuel is utilized in transport, right? So every price is going to increase, of every food grain, every vegetable, every cereal, every pulses, because trucks and this and that is used to transport food. So that is another thing. Transportation issues, if there is lack of transportation, there is inadequacy, inefficient transportation, roads, etc., etc. If roads, what is the issue with roads? If roads are not proper, if it is taking more time means more money is involved. It's as simple as that. It is going to again make it costlier. And transportation does not just include trucks, vehicles, petrol, etc., but the labor also. You have to shift the thing, you have to load it, then remove it, etc., etc. Then at times it can so happen that the production cost, right, production cost, for example, if the prices of seeds increase, then you can't do anything. The prices, that this is the raw material for agriculture, so the prices of raw material has increased, so the production cost is basically increased. Prices of fertilizer increase, so the production cost of agricultural produce will again increase. Then again, the global crisis, Russia-Ukraine war, led to increase in the prices of crude oil, other issues, other logistics issues, other import-export challenges, which will again lead to an increase in the prices. Now, what is the measure the government can take, is taking and can take to address this? Number one is subsidized commodities. Now, subsidizing commodities, it's a very immediate, it's a short-term measure. You cannot throughout the eternity keep on subsidizing, but urgent relief is also required. If things are so costly, people will not have food to eat, people may not have proper calories, people may not have proper nutrition as well. So all these problems can happen. That is why immediate solution is to provide subsidies, but this is of course a short-term solution. Another way is to have, of course, buffer stock. It is anyhow there. Under the National Food Security Act, the government keeps a buffer stock of, but it keeps a buffer stock of wheat and rice. So now this can help to provide the calories. It can help to provide. It can help to basically calm down or lower the prices if the cereals, if these wheat and rice is not present. So the government can float this buffer stock in the market to lower the price, to provide it at cheaper rate, etc. Right? Further, of course, the procurement and PDS is also there, basically talking about the National Food Security Act, where no matter the price what is there in the market, you will get over here cheap, right, depending upon what kind of ration card you hold. So this is another thing. Plus minimum support price. Now, giving a minimum support price can increase the price, but at the same time, giving minimum support price can facilitate farmers to grow certain things more, which will increase the production. And when production is high, inflation or the prices will come down. Further, there can be import-export policies as well. What is import-export policy? How can we control inflation with the help of this? See, if inflation is there, that happens due to the demand-supply gap. See, if it is happening due to the increase in cost of production, you can't do much with import-export policy, because the cost of production itself is high. But if there is due to the gap between demand and supply, what you can do is you can put a halt on the export of that particular commodity, so that it is more present in our own country, so that the supply in our own country increases, so that the supply demand gap is closed down or at least negated a bit, so that the prices come down. Plus infrastructure development. So when you talk about infrastructure development, we talk about roads, we talk about things related to transport, or rather the generic term would be logistics, right? Not just that, storage facility, up in storage facility, especially cold storage facility. See, because a huge amount of produce is lost as wastage also. So if storage is there, that will not happen. Fruits, vegetable, etc., and various other things may require cold storage, so that is also very essential. So these storage facility, infrastructure development and all is required. And then you have technology adoption as well. Technology adoption of high yielding variety seeds and all is there. Apart from that, promoting use of technology in agriculture so that more and more people utilize in technology. It is not just the development and advancement, but whatever technology is present, increasing the ambit or the net of the technology being used by the number of farmers or the area of agricultural field, that is also going to increase the production and lower the cost. Now, some of the suggestions are like, for example, that when RBI or RBI basically what it does is tries to target inflation around 4 plus minus 2%. Now, one suggestion was that remove food inflation from RBI's targeting. So that may solve RBI's target problems, but that would not solve the problem of food inflation. So there needs to be two-legged approach or multi approach should be here. One, if you are removing the food inflation from RBI targeting, that is well and good. RBI can manage its target, and that should or can happen. You can do that, especially because RBI is asked to manage the entire inflation. But what does RBI have? Does RBI manage the efficiency of production, agricultural production, industrial production, transportation, crude oil prices? There are various things which is not in RBI's hands, but still it is asked to control or target the inflation of the overall Indian economy. So that is also not fair. So at least if food inflation comes out, that can be a good thing, and RBI can be more efficient in targeting this. That's point number one. Point number two is, just by removing from targeting doesn't make, doesn't lead to reduction in food inflation. So our separate steps which we discussed and many more steps need to be taken in order to actually bring down the food inflation also. We can remove this so that it's not RBI's worry, but at the same time simultaneously work towards bringing down food inflation as well. So this can be our way forward. Thank you.